Hey everybody, back again. I am going to talk for a couple minutes about drip dropping your oils, which means the best way to get the oils out of the bottle. Also a little bit about storage and a little bit about handling. So first thing, I know you're gonna be super excited to pop off those caps and start using your oils. So when you take off the cap, the lavender smells so good. You will see that there is a plastic orifice reducer on the top. So what this does is to help to make sure that the oils can come out slowly, one drop at a time. It kind of looks like, and at first glance, you would think that the oils come out of that big hole right in the center, but that is actually not the case. That's where the air goes back into the bottle. Where the oils actually come out of, and it's hard to see here, but I'll post a picture below, is between the outer ring and that hole in the center, there's a well, and inside that well is a little teeny pinhole, and that pinhole is where the oils come out. So what you're going to want to do is to find that little pinhole, have it down, facing the downward part of the bottle, and then just gently tip the bottle until a couple oils come out. So in the safety video, we talked about using essential oils diluted, and so using a carrier oil or a lotion when you're first putting them on. But after you have some more experience and you see kind of what your body can tolerate, I know that lavender's one for me that I can use undiluted and put on my skin no problem for me. So I love lavender in my hair, and that way your hair just smells really good all day. So I'll put a couple drops in my hands and then just kind of rub them through your hair. We'll talk about all different kinds of awesome things for each individual bottle later when we start playing the game once the kits are rolling in. But the other thing I want to talk about is, so that pinhole can be really hard to find, especially if you're a kind of person that might need some reading glasses sometimes. So one fun thing to do is to use the cap and pop off that orifice reducer. So you can see I just use the cap and pop that right off. So you're going to take it, and handling it as little as possible, which I'll explain later. You are going to find that little pinhole and align it with this barcode right here. So the pinhole matches up with the barcode, and then you just use the top of the cap and pop that back down in there, and now you always know where that little pinhole is. It's always going to be lined up with that little barcode. So instead of kind of like hunting and pecking and searching to see where the pinhole is in that well, you can just find the barcode, point the barcode down, and now you know where it is so that you can get your oils out. So one of the things you noticed that I did not do or tried not to do was to touch the top of the bottle. So, oh hi Chunk, the puppy's saying hi. Try not to touch the top of the bottle. So you have dirt and oils and skin cells on your hands that will get into the bottle of essential oils if you touch that top. So I know it's really tempting, but try to avoid like putting the top of the bottle on your wrist and kind of like doing one of those like tip back and forth things. So why that is important is because once that kind of material gets into the bottle, it starts to degrade the therapeutic value of the oil a little bit. So the smell will stay the same, but we know a lot of why we want essential oils is for the therapeutic value. So you want to try to do that as little as possible to not kind of dampen that therapeutic value of the oil. So hands off the top of that orifice reducer. The next thing we wanted to talk about briefly is storage. So you want to store your essential oils in a cool, dark place. So that doesn't necessarily mean in a box in a bedroom or something like that. You can have them on a rack, but just try to keep it out of direct sunlight. And you want to try to keep your bottles upright as much as possible. So the other thing that will that essential oils do is that they can degrade and break down some plastic. So the cap and the orifice reducer are designed and made of specific plastic for essential oil storage. So it's not a huge deal, but you want to make sure just not to store them upside down so that the oil is contacting the cap and that orifice reducer all the time. So keep them upright in a cool, dark place out of direct sunlight. I was listening to a super interesting video not too long ago, and it was talking about, so say you do like leave your bottle of essential oil in the car and it gets really, really hot. As long as you bring it inside, let it cool down, set it down somewhere and let it cool down to room temperature, and just kind of like tip it upside down a couple times before you open it back up. You won't lose some of that like the lighter parts of the oil won't flash off. So if it was really hot and you opened it immediately, you might lose some of those higher notes that you want to have in your essential oils. So cool, dark place, upright. If they do get in a hot place, not a big deal. I have a little carrying case that I keep in my purse to try to keep them upright. But those the phone pockets in your purse are a really great place. They help to keep the oils upright. So that's a little bit about storage, handling, and getting a couple drops of your essential oil out of the bottle in the best way. Oh, a couple other things that I almost forgot. So you don't want to shake the bottle. You just want, if you have that hole pointed downwards and just are tilting it, that should be enough to get the oil out. There are a couple oils that are super, super thick, like Vetiver is one of them, Blue Cypress is one of them, and it's one of those that they are kind of like thicker than molasses. Sorry, the dog's getting a drink of water right now. Thicker than molasses, so it the drops don't come out as easily as something like a lavender. Like you could see this one was flowing pretty well. But you don't want to shake the bottle because that will kind of just make a mess and get oil everywhere and kind of get everything all oily. And so we talked about wanting to keep things, as much of the oils down in the bottle, uncontaminated as possible. One way to keep your cap clean and not to waste any little drops of goodness is that once you have dripped a couple drops out, you can run your finger along the what are those called? The ridges. That's not what it's called. The threads. Run your finger or your hand along the threads to kind of pull off a couple of those extra drops of oil. Keep the cap clean. I had a bottle of citrus. It was grapefruit. And before I realized how to store them or how not to store them, I pretty much had just like thrown them into my purse all the time. I was cranking on the tops like as hard as I could. So they were upside down and all over the place. I wasn't wiping off the outside of the ribs, and I was like shaking them, so it was just a mess. And that bottle actually got a crack in the top. And so all the essential oils, if they are stored properly, they will keep for over 2 years. But that bottle of grapefruit just within a year went bad, and it changed color, and you could smell it. It like didn't smell quite right. So learn from my mistakes and keep them upright, cool, dark place. Don't crank those tops on too hard and you'll be just fine. So on our way to enjoying your oils, I can't wait. We'll hop in with some more information tomorrow, let you digest this for a little bit, but I hope you have an awesome night. Talk to you soon.